Hey, good evening. This is Dr. Eric Live. And the first thing I'd like to start off tonight with is our credo and the modification that we made yesterday. You have to get these things burned into our brains, so to speak. We want to recapture that as much as we can. So let's go through. Our credo is: have you had your daily vitamin CBD today to help reduce inflammation and support your immune system? Now that's really important, that we understand that inflammation is the bad guy. And yesterday, I think we talked extensively about the three types of inflammation and what we have to do, and some of the components that we use when we have acute inflammation, better known as infection. We oftentimes must use surgical procedures, doing incision and draining to let out the pus. That's a trouble word, isn't it? Huh? Okay. Or we can do things like antibiotics. And then a lot of times on chronic inflammation, we have to put people on antibiotics to keep a steady state. And that steady state is to keep the bacteria or the virus, okay, from overtaking the host. Okay. So those are just, and then we talk about, of course, our subject matter that we're interested in is low grade chronic inflammation, and that goes all the way from post-traumatic stress. I was reading an article. Dr. Gordon and I met at a national physicians conference, and he sends out every Sunday. He sends out a great deal of a nice article on TBI, and he says, "God diggity dog, I finally understand why and what happens in TBI." That's pretty monumental for him to say such a thing. And then he says that what happens is the certain number of cytokines are released in that post-traumatic, traumatic brain injury, that and that low-grade chronic inflammation cause those cytokines to come out. That low-grade chronic inflammation, okay, then creates a lot of more acute inflammation in the brain, for those people that have traumatic brain injury. Traumatic brain injury is when the calvarium, which is our skull, is used as a battering ramp, and where our brain will hit up against it. And what Dr. Gordon has taught me is that we have a lot more TBI than we normally know. And we're talking about kids falling off their bikes. We're talking about pee-wee football. We're talking about high school football. I know that my son-in-law has had 3 or 4 concussions, and those concussions, they have their effects. And so what we have to do is be much more careful. I've been working in the past with a gentleman who's working with NIH, trying to improve the helmets that we play our American sport called football in. And people, of course, look what people do during COVID-19. They feel things are much more normal when there's sports. A lot of the sports, I think the hockey situation just ended up last night with the Tampa Bay Lightning winning, and that's important to a lot of people, and it makes them get away from the rigors of today's society, which can be quite disconcerting. We have a big presidential debate tonight, which will captivate a lot of people's attention. I'm not sure how many minds it's going to change, but we hope that it doesn't cause traumatic brain injury. That's all. Yes. So we have to be aware of all of these forms of low-grade chronic inflammation. Now, I will tell you that when I went to medical school, they usually found a pathology, a different pathology for many diseases, and low-grade chronic inflammation wasn't part of it. And the reason that I come to you every night and over the course of the last 200 plus days is to give some scientific levity to the discussions that go on. A lot of crazy discussions that go on. A lot of people basically rejecting the fact that wearing a mask is a political endorsement or de-endorsement. Um, the whole aspect is that we have over 200,000 people in the United States that constitute over almost 1/4 of the total deaths, which is 1 million. We just reached that milestone of over 1 million deaths in the world right now from this virus, and that's in less than 9 months. And we don't see the virus going away anytime soon. So this is why I want you to go back to that credo. Have you had your daily vitamin CBD today to help reduce inflammation to support our immune system? We have to have that injected into our nomenclature, because there's so much that has been gone on since the 1970, where the cannabis plant was demonized. And because of this demonization, people are very, very scared. I'm going to be doing a talk on the 6th of October for the woodsmen, and this talk is talking to a lot of people about hemp cannabis. Now, hopefully you understand that hemp was just given in 2018 was given the status once again as hemp. Before that, it was cannabis sativa L, which was all totally illegal. But with the Farm Bill signing of December the 20th of 2018, hemp came back into existence. And hemp is classified as the cannabis sativa plant with less than 0.3% by weight, by dry weight of THC. Now, because before that, the whole plant, even hemp, was illegal. And now today, what we have a situation that we can make cannabidiol. We can take the cannabinoids, which are more than 120 in this plant, and now we can utilize it in a legal fashion only if it comes from the plant that's designated as hemp. If that plant is left in the field longer than it should be, or too long, then the percentage of THC can go up. Above 0.3 is no longer considered hemp. It's considered medical cannabis, or the conventional word that they want to use is marijuana. And for medical hemp and for marijuana, you cannot use those CBD products, even though it's the same cannabinoid. It cannot be used. So these are some of the constricts and the limitations that we have. Okay, I want to acknowledge that the fact that we have our current cast of players are on tonight, and we're just probably not, because we are putting this up on YouTube. Just putting their names out there every night is not going to necessarily serve their interests or our best interests. So, ladies, I recognize you. Thank you very much, and gentlemen, for coming on. We want to thank everybody that joins us to come on to learn a little bit more. And I'm going to continue to try to put the science to this, and that's why I read every day on it, and I'm excited about all the things that I'm learning, because it's been a learning curve. But I've been an 8-year learner, because the first thing I had to do is commit to giving out certificates to eradicate the use of, or at least if not eradicate, to eliminate or decrease the use of the opioids. And I did that, and I'm still doing that. And I see people every week to give them certificates so that they can get away from the barbiturates and the opiates, okay, and all of the narcotics, and give them a better way of life. Most people that make that transition say, I hate the way I felt. I could never feel like I was functioning as a human being, because I was always, in this dark place. So these are things that people don't want to be, and we need to continue to study, okay, this plant. I have told you that go look up the article about cannabidiol in 2025. CBD will not be the same CBD and will not have the same potentially medical impact that it's having today. It's having a big impact today because of the novelty, because it's new. But what we need to do is continue to study, and there's a lot of ongoing studies that are keeping me busy every day, just trying to keep up with them. And we're going to do that because we want to stay ahead of the curve. We have two products that we think are exemplary, and we want you to try them. Okay, of course, 2-path, because it works through two physiological pathways to reduce low-grade chronic inflammation, and that will support your immune system. Okay, and we have a emulsified wild Maine blueberry gummy that you get bigger bang for your buck, that we even start you cutting them in half or in fourths in order to get reacclimated to the bioavailability, going from 20% to 80%. Okay, and so people don't even understand that when they take 50 milligrams of a cannabinoid and only get 20%. Okay, then that's one thing. But when you take a 50 milligram and get 80%, there's a big difference between 10 milligrams and 40 milligrams in your absorption component. So the bioavailability is something that the pharmaceutical companies have been using for some period of time. If you don't know anything about nanotechnology, go look at it. It's going to govern the way that we do business in the future, because we have so many ways that nanotechnology can be utilized, that just like there are more than 50,000 utilizations of hemp, and we've only talked about one, and that's usually CBD. But we'll get to more in the future. But every night I just give you a little taste, a little teeny bit, so that you don't excuse me, so you don't get overloaded, because overload is easy. All right, so let's do our credo one more time before we sign off tonight. Have you had your daily vitamin CBD today to help reduce your inflammation and support your immune system? Okay, that's it for tonight. Please and thank you. God bless. Out.